This Township Cedar Lake Planning Commission meeting, July 21st, 2021, to order. Would everyone please stand and pledge the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Carnahan. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan.
Here.
Mr. Foreman.
Present.
Mr. Sharp.
Here.
Ms. Desbauer. Present. Mr. Becker.
Here.
Mr. Kapora.
Present.
Mr. Wilkening.
Here.
Mr. Oliphant.
Here.
Attorney Austin.
Present.
Ms. Murr. Present. Margaret Abernathy. Present.
Thank you, Margaret. Regarding the minutes, has anybody had a chance to look over any of these minutes?
I have not.
Okay. Chuck? No? No? You did?
Okay.
Whatever you sent me. Okay. All right, Mr. Foreman. Okay. All right. Well, I have not, and so I guess do we have a motion to approve them?
Make a motion to approve the minutes in the last few meetings,
Second.
as noted on the agenda.
Got a motion by Mr. Foreman, second by Mr. Sharp. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan.
Yes.
Mr. Foreman.
Yes.
Mr. Sharp.
Yes.
Ms. Desbauer. No. Mr. Becker.
No.
Mr. Kapora.
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening.
No. Motion carries. Okay. New business, Beacon Point East, Phase 2, final plat. Beacon Point, Cedar Lake LLC, 8900 Wicker Avenue, vicinity 9000 West 141st, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303. Petitioner is requesting a final plat. Hello, Jack.
Good evening, Jack Slager with Schilling Development, representing Beacon Point of Cedar Lake, and we are requesting final plat approval tonight for Beacon Point East, Phase 2. This is a small phase of a couple of duplex lots and a couple of cottage homes and lots. All of the improvements are in, the roads are in and paved. The couple of small items left, like street signs and street lights, but Don produced a letter today with the letter of credit amount, and we have the bank working on producing the letter of credit. I gave the Mylars to Jill, and so we're requesting approval of the plat tonight.
Okay. Don, is this the one of the letters that showed up in the
Showed up today, yeah.
at 4 or 5 o'clock tonight?
No, a little more than that.
Okay.
2 o'clock.
12:30.
All right. Don, any comments on this item?
No, plat's in order. If you do move to approve, your letter of credit value will be, it's dropped to the minimum, which is the maximum reduction of 25%. The number would be $182,135.46. The 3% inspection fee would be $21,856.26, and then the $2,000 MS4 inspection fee as well.
Okay. For a grand total of what?
What do you mean a grand total?
182,
182 is the performance letter of credit value.
And then the $2,000 MS4 fee.
Yep, and then the $21,000 and change would be the 3% inspection fee.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on this new business item?
No.
Okay.
Hey, Jack, are the street signs in? I've got a complaint from somebody that lives there already. It was knocked over or something,
Yeah.
and she can't get it fixed, and
Yeah.
oh my goodness.
No, we've gotten that call too. The
Okay.
street signs were installed in Phase 1. One of the contractors must have run over the one, I think there's 2 residents living in Phase 1
I
now.
think you're right.
So we've got, the street signs have been ordered for Phase 2, and we ordered a replacement of that intersection. that
Or
was
Austin,
damaged.
or I think it's Austin.
Yeah, it's coming.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Building department, any comments?
No, we had reviewed the plat. Don has reviewed it. They have already provided the 3% inspection fee check as well as the MS4 fee. And I do have the Mylar here. I did get confirmation they are working on the letter of credit for this one.
So the motion needs to be for the letter of credit to 182-135-46.
Yes, as
Everything-
well as,
everything-
as well as noting the 3% inspection fee, dollar amount of the $21,000 and the $2,000 MS4 fee.
Okay. Do any of the commissioners have any questions about this item? This letter of credit for Beacon? Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion regarding this item?
I'll make a motion to approve the final plat, noting the reduction, the letter of credit to $182,135.46, 3% section fee of $21,856.26, and the MS4 fee of $2,000.
Okay, we have a motion by Heather,
I'll second it.
second by Mr. Becker. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Betzauer?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Kapura?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes. Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. Item 2, Lakeside Preliminary Plat Extension. On petitioner Cedar Lake, 133 LLC, 8900 Wicker Avenue, vicinity 5711 West 133rd Avenue, Cedar Lake. Petitioner is requesting a preliminary plat extension, which expires 9/18 of 2021. This is going to be for a year? Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, good evening again. Jack Slager with Schilling Development, representing Cedar Lake 133, the developer of Lakeside. We've done this the last 2 years, extending the plat approval for Phase 2 of Lakeside, and so we're requesting another 1-year extension. We were going to put it on next month's agenda, but since we were here tonight, she moved us up. So we're a little bit ahead, but we'll be requesting a 1-year extension from September 2021 to September 2022. I will say we had a good meeting this week with the town manager and the town engineer to discuss sewer and water extensions to the property, and talked about a lot of things, including the recent town's acquisition of the wells and the upcoming water tower project, and all those things are starting to come into play that we're hopeful that we're able to get this project back up and running next year.
Well, that's my understanding also. Does anybody have any questions?
No.
Any questions?
No.
No.
Legal? Good. Building department?
Recommend extending it to September 18th of 2022.
Okay. Mr. Carnahan?
We've actually, as a town, held them up. They're only able to build 54 of the housing units, and they're approved for 200. And until we get the water over there, that's been the big holdup, and I'm very thankful for their patience.
Thank you. Well, it wasn't for lack of trying to drill over there, was it, Bob?
No, they found a lot of water, but it was at a cost of a huge amount to treat.
Okay. Any commissioners have any discussions, any questions?
No,
sir.
No, sir.
Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion regarding Lakeside preliminary plat extension to September 18th, 2022?
So moved.
Okay, we got a motion by Chuck, second by Bob. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Betzauer?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Kapura?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Item number 3, Rose Garden Estates, Unit 3, final plat. Owner petitioner Lennar Homes, 1141 West Main Street, Suite 108, East Dundee, Illinois. Vicinity is West 141st Avenue, Cedar Lake, Indiana. Petitioner is requesting the final plat for Unit 3. Just step right up.
For the record, my name is Todd Clevin, the land planning and titling manager for Lennar Homes. Our offices reside at 1141 West Main Street, Suite 108, East Dundee, Illinois. I'm personally a Crown Point resident of 250 East 123rd Place. I'm in front of you this evening for item number 3 under new business for the July 21st Plan Commission meeting representing Unit 3 of Rose Garden Estates, our last phase of that community. With your permission, I'd like to approach you and pass out the plans. If they would like to have in hand for questions I have on large and small.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
So,
With me this evening is our land development manager, Mr. Tom McSherry. We were in front of you 2 weeks ago at a workshop for this petition, answered some questions that surfaced at that time. And like I said, this is the final phase of the community. The community itself as a whole is 107 acres with 352 units. This particular phase is 31.11 acres with 13 duplex lots, 25 cottage homes, and 47 single family. Our performance letter of credit amount came in at 1.7 and some change with the 110% amount. The letter of credit is $1,913,079.85. You concur with that, and I believe Don concurs with that as well. But with that, I'll open up any questions that you may have.
Okay, stay right there, Matt. Don, you good with this number?
Yep, plat's in order, it's 98 total units, 85 lots. The $1,913,079.85, the performance letter of credit. The 3% inspection fee would come out to be $52,174.91, and then the $2,000 transport fee.
All right, does anybody have any questions for the petitioner? Mr. Austin?
Todd, just can you explain the pink circles on the large map?
Yeah, so those 2 pink circles indicate the 2 changes that we were requested upon from the previous time in front of you. We had a north-south road that was named numerically, and we were asked to switch that to one of the theme names. I circled that on there. And also Don asked us to show that Reisman acquired easement to the east. That was part of our contingencies for this phase. So that plat does represent that easement that is recorded now.
Any action that the planners consider tonight should take into account and identify that those corrections be made as recommended by Don, as presented by Todd.
Okay. The ones that I served, it's just showing you that the corrections were made.
Yeah, they're on there.
Yeah.
They're on the last one.
They used to have 145th all the way around, even going north and south, so they changed that to Hibiscus. And then the other 2 were not on the last, I think.
Correct. So I just circled them in too.
I'll make sure we call them out.
Mr. Oliphant, those 3 changes, you're good with?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Building department, anything?
nothing additional. The changes that were noted were the same ones I would have brought up.
Good. All right. Do any commissioners have any questions?
No, sir.
All right. Would anyone like to make a motion regarding this petitioner's request for a letter of credit at 1.913,000, 1.913,079 $2,000.85, and 52,174.91, and the $2,000 MS4 fee. Has that been paid?
No, not yet.
Okay, all right. Okay. Anybody like to make a motion regarding this item and those numbers?
I'll make a motion to approve the final plat, noting the changes made on the map provided this evening of the name change on the road and also the notation of the utility easement. Performance letter of credit equaling $1,913,079.85. 3% inspection fee of $52,174.91, and the MS4 fee of $2,000.
All right, we have a motion by Heather.
I'll second Heather's motion.
Okay, and a second by Mr. Foreman. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Deshauer?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Katsura?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Okay, thanks, Pat. All right, next item, Hartig, preliminary plat, and final plat, one lot subdivision with waivers. Owner petitioner Bernadette Hartig, 934 Jordan Circle, Sherrville. The vicinity is 8025 West 126th Place in Cedar Lake. Petitioner is requesting preliminary plat for a one lot subdivision and waivers. Good evening.
I just want to sell the property, and I would appreciate it.
You gotta state your name and address first.
I'm sorry. Bernadette Hardig, in Jordan Circle, Cedar, in Sherrville, and I am requesting that you okay the plat so that I can sell the piece of property.
Okay,
Yes. I would appreciate it if you would waiver the 30-day period, because I have a person that wants to start building there.
I'm not sure that that's a legal request.
The request. Okay, he can't give you an approval in one reading tonight. You have to wait for 30 days under the statute.
Okay.
Or anybody who wants to oppose.
That was my
Hang
address,
on,
8025.
hang on.
You're gonna get a chance.
We'll get it here. Is there any other legal?
No, the legals are in order.
Legals are in order,
It's properly
okay.
advertised, and
Okay,
we're in good shape with that.
all right. Petitioner spoken. Don, do you have anything on this at this moment?
We do not.
Because we'll be looking for you in a minute.
We're gonna have to change the address, I think.
That could be a problem. Have a seat real quick, and so I can ask for some remonstrance. Is there anyone here who would like to speak on behalf of this petition or against? Please come to the podium. State your name and address for the record.
My name is William Skaggs. I've lived at 8025 West 126th Place for the last 26 years. When I purchased this house, my taxes were being paid on that property, and then I paid taxes on that property. I did not receive any of my money back. Then all of a sudden I received a letter in my door, just thrown in there, and saying that the key number was changed and that parcel of property was now given a new key number, and they gave me a new key number. So what had happened, I know what I bought, I understand that, but the misunderstanding is 8025 or 80 or 8025, whatever, that address was my address. So she never split up that property until almost like 2 or 3 years. I did not bring my paperwork, I'm sorry, I did just not do that, but that is my address, and that parcel of property was split later on after. And then I received a new number, new key number, saying that I don't own that parcel no more. I tried to buy the other parcel, and my neighbor here tried to buy other parcel, and we could not. She ended up willing it to her daughter, and then they sold the parcel to whoever. So what happened is that I lost all the money, and then that property has never been given a number, name, or anything.
So, Mr. Skaggs, the property to the west of you is what you're talking about? Okay, I just want to make sure I'm looking.
There was an
Looking
extra
at my
20,
map,
there was
I
an
just wanna
extra 20
understand.
feet or something like that.
Okay.
I know they bought, I mean, I have my plot, it's like 160 by 180, but for a while, I was paying on that property, and the lawyer told me, well, what are you gonna do? Spend $1,500, you get $500 back? But in the case of, you know, there's been no address or nothing for that lot there.
So, you brought none of your paperwork in for
No, I
your
did
property?
not, no, I just,
Okay.
we knew that someone had bought the property, but we just come to dispute
Okay.
what's going on with it.
Right. Don, what are you looking at there?
This is the parcel in question right now on the docket for the one-lot subdivision. Mr. Skaggs' parcel is to the immediate east. They do have the same site address, so that will have to be addressed. It's a minor clerical thing that can be addressed because there's a significant gap between the two addresses on either side, so that can be addressed. Regarding the actual ownership of the parcel, I don't know if I can speak to that.
Well, we need to start with the boundary survey for the plat itself and make certain that is an accurate survey and a legal description for which the one-lot subdivision is being sought. I presume it is.
It's accurate.
Okay.
To the boundaries of what they've submitted, yes, it is accurate.
Then,
The legal description?
Yes.
well, then ownership would be proven by, one, the deed, and secondly, the title work, any title work that might exist. If there were encumbrances, or if there were encroachments, or if there were easements, or there were any rights of way, any crossings, that would be found in the title work. I don't know if they have the title work, but those two things would help prove.
I mean, the only existing kind of appurtenance that's on that lot was an existing 25-foot sewer easement on the west side of the lot.
Okay.
That's the only thing they're showing.
But again, a person, regardless of who owns, creating a one-lot subdivision, the title work would all be done at a closing anyhow. That's not our jurisdiction.
It's not, but it goes to the proof of who
Right.
has what.
Oh, it was still on one
That we aren't
key
planning
number.
something. Sorry, sir.
Yeah, the county has a new
Yeah.
GIS system last decade or more, so that's just not uncommon to have.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. I do have, yeah, it does state what I have and what I own, but they kept that key number and never straightened it out, and then I ended up paying tax on the property, and my escrow had gone into the red zone because I was paying taxes on the wrong property.
So, you're not saying you own this property?
No,
You're saying-
I
you're
will
saying-
honestly say I
Okay,
don't own
okay,
that
all right.
little parcel
So
of
the
property.
issue is the address,
Yeah.
Well,
and that's,
one,
and that's a simple fix?
That's the simple.
The simple
that's
fix.
the survey.
And we can figure that out inside.
For the final plat is to be determined.
Yeah.
Our experts say that that's simple.
So what about the recovery on paying the taxes on
That's
that
legal.
That's
property?
That's legal. Go to the county and start working with them on that.
Yeah, we wouldn't have any say-so in that.
Okay.
Although
That's- just wanted to bring your attention.
information from these proceedings would probably help you in your
Well, I
discussion with
understand
them.
that she gave that address, and that is my address.
Yeah, and I think she just gave that because that's what the county recognizes that vacant parcel as, but that'll be remedied.
We haven't really straightened this out yet on that number
Yeah,
or that
it won't be
lot.
your number, let's put it that way.
Okay. And then the rest will, as the building, who's bought the property, will discuss about what's going on with that.
Yeah, the legal stuff that you're dealing with is the county issue.
Yeah, yeah.
They need to reimburse you if you paid property taxes on someone else's property.
Okay.
But like I said, what's
I think.
gone on
I'm
here
not a lawyer.
will be,
I don't know that
will
there's
be
a refund.
quite useful to you.
I don't know.
We're just,
Once the
let's
tax
look
year
here just for what's going on
closes,
and what's gonna be built on that property.
We don't know any of that, because it's here for a one-lot subdivision and, for final plat.
Okay.
All those other details
Well, I will
are
stress
not.
this, we do not want a trailer.
You can't.
I,
We have laws against that.
I,
Okay,
You don't have to worry about that.
thank you very much.
We have a subdivision control ordinance that's pretty in-depth.
Okay.
And that's why we're here, BZA's got meetings once a month, and so on and so forth, so.
Okay, thank you, I
We
appreciate
pay
it.
attention beyond belief.
okay, regarding the Hardig property that for tonight we're calling 8025 West 126th Place. Is there anyone else remonstrate or against?
I got a question.
Come on the podium, state your name and address.
Don Brill, I live at 8143 West 126th Place, just to the west of the property. The one concern I have, and I'm probably wasting your time, but I'm still gonna ask because I'm here, there's another thing to be considered on this lot is the grade, because it is a low spot in the whole, I call it like a tri-mountain area, and especially after they built Havenwood 15 years ago, the water, I got the worst ditch in the neighborhood, and it comes down, and there's a 10-inch culvert on the property behind me that a swale leads to, and periodically, sometimes 5 times, 6 times a year, sometimes it won't do it for 3 years. But that lot floods to the point to where my neighbor on the east side, it actually goes in his garage. So if they're gonna build a house there, and I understand it's their property, they can do what they can do. But if they change the grade, like if they dig a full basement, bring it out and grade it, it's gonna cause a lot of problems for a few neighbors there.
Well, that, when that is proposed at the building department,
Mm-hmm.
that will all be addressed then.
Okay, I thought it should be, but I figured I'm here, I'm gonna ask, so
And-
thanks for your time.
And there's a few of us up here that are familiar with the property, in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, especially around the lake, because there's a lot of uneven up and down too, so.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank
We
you.
used to ride dirt bikes west of you.
Oh, yeah, that's when I moved there, all my kids rode out there.
Yeah.
Yep, out in where Havenwood is.
Think, Johnny? There's one of the culprits right behind you.
You were trespassing, were you, John?
Absolutely.
Okay. Just trying to be clear.
Never did know who the heck owned it.
Transparency.
I always heard.
Yeah, we never did
It was
either.
Louis Silo.
When he said "we," I don't know who the "we" is. Okay, does anyone else have anything regarding this item number 4, any remonstrance or against? Come on up to the podium. Name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Cindy Crispin, I'm Bernadette Hardy's daughter.
Okay.
I'm here with the legal description and the title that we had put together for getting the property sold correctly. We had to put the 2 lots together when my mother originally sold the house. Her lawyer thought that it would be best if she broke it off into 2 separate lots. So we've spent many months getting that all taken care of and put back together so that she could have it for sale. In the meantime, we've had it for sale probably 3 or 4 times on our own and with the listing agent, and no one has come forward to say anything about it. Additionally, my mother has proof of paying taxes on both of those pieces of property because one of them is in my name and one of them was in my brother's name. So she has all the records of paying the taxes on that property.
Well, it's quite possible that everybody was paying taxes on that property.
But I just want to make sure that we do have the proper plot land surveyed, and we've had it surveyed twice.
Don seems to think the legal is in order.
Yeah, so we
It's
should.
accurate. Other than the address, I think the 2 things you're asking for seem to be in line with everything we have here.
All right.
And Mr. Skaggs will have to spend some time in the county
Okay, thank you so much.
figuring that out.
May I get your address for the record, please?
Sure. My address is 2740 Georgetown Drive, Highland, Indiana, 46375.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, regarding the Hardegg preliminary plat for one lot subdivision, anybody else, anybody want to remonstrate for or against this? Okay, remonstrating is closed. Building department comments?
No additional comments.
Okay. Can we, run through the waivers real quick here?
Yes. First, the stormwater detention, we will address those drainage issues, upon receiving a building permit. Widening of the public way, park dedication, tree placement, and fronting the sidewalk.
All right. Yes, sir.
Go and act on those first, then on the primary plan.
Okay. Commissioners, any other discussion?
No, sir.
Everybody's good, okay. All right,
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the waivers that Don just read from his July 20, 2021 letter, which deal with front sidewalk, tree placement, park dedication, widening and improvements of the public roadway frontage, and the stormwater detention as he so described.
okay, we have a motion by John for the waivers on the July 20th, 2021 letter from Don Oliphant. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heather. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Dessauer?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Kapura?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes. Motion carries on the waivers. All right, would anyone like to make a motion regarding the preliminary plat for a one-lot subdivision of the same?
Mr. President, I do have a question for legal. Would we want to make it contingent on proper address?
Yes.
Okay. That would be the wise decision. I'd like to, again, make an approval for preliminary plat and final plat of the one-lot subdivision with the waivers as read in the prior motion, contingent upon the
Street address.
the proper address being identified.
Okay, we have a motion by John with
I'll
the
second it.
second by Mr. Pora. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Dessauer?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Kapura?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes. Motion carries.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I would not recommend that you consider final plat approval tonight, 30-day wait, given the discussion that was had here.
Okay. Do I have a motion to refer this to the next?
Well, it normally would anyway.
It would be an
We-
agenda item by course.
Yeah, that'd just take its
Okay.
course.
I mean, the next meeting is the 18th, so you're gonna hit your 30-day limit anyway. The next public meeting is 18th. So you wouldn't even hit your 30-day anyways, before the next public meeting.
You could still act on it
Yeah, you can still act on it.
and wait the extra day or two before executing.
That's your prerogative.
Okay. All right, well, we'll all see that again.
Mr.
Yes.
President, can we let Ms. Harding know that she would need to be in attendance then at the August 18th meeting? Unless you would waive her.
Yeah, I think,
Appearance.
no, I think we need a petitioner here. So,
You would need to come at the August 18th meeting,
Okay,
okay?
for what?
For the final plat.
To get the address.
The state statute says you have to wait 30 days,
Okay.
and so, that's the flow that we're taking. So just one person has to be here on behalf of, I don't think it needs to be necessarily one of the two owners, but if Bernadette wants to come, so be it.
I got a question. Where do you get the address from? We've tried for months to get an address, and nobody will give us the address.
You can talk to Jill and myself, we'll work.
They will
we'll
make
work
it
with
up.
We'll work that out.
Okay.
Because I tried to get the address, new number, and he said you can't do that until the property is sold.
Well, all of the new subdivisions we have, ma'am, in town, that we create the names of the streets and the addresses, so we're pretty used to figuring that out, and that's what they can do. No worries. We did not know there was the wrong address until tonight, or we could have probably addressed this in prior weeks.
Understood, thank you.
You're welcome. And guys, thanks for coming tonight. Don't be strangers, this meeting goes on once a month, it's a lot of fun here.
I can see that.
Good luck, Scott. Okay, item number 5, Cedar Lake Storage LLC, preliminary plat, one lot subdivision. Owner petitioner, Cedar Lake Storage LLC, 9019 West 133rd Avenue, Cedar Lake. Petitioner is Tim Porter, Cedar Lake Storage LLC, 9019 West 133rd Avenue, Cedar Lake. Vicinity is 9011 through 9019 West 133rd Avenue, Cedar Lake. Petitioner is requesting a preliminary plat for a one-lot subdivision. Mr. Austin, the legals are still in order?
Not changed, they're legal then, and they're legal now. Continued public hearings.
Yes. Yes, it is, and, go ahead, because I've not looked at any of this, because we got it.
Mr. President, this isn't a continued public hearing. This is the first night of the public hearing on the preliminary plat.
Legals are in order.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. We just had it at the work session.
Jack Halls from DVG, representing the petitioner this evening. The reporters are here, the owners are also here. So this evening, this was on a previous agenda, and we're talking about a one-lot subdivision, which is what your ordinance requires for any building improvements to be done. Also on commercial property, you require a site plan approval. And so, as the previous petition, there's a subdivision process which we'd like to go through, which is the primary plat creating that one lot. And then there's also a petition in front of you, which is deferred until next month, I believe, for the site plan review. And then also for the the final plat. So this evening, for the preliminary plat petition, we're requesting a one-lot subdivision on this entire parcel, so that we can then proceed with the approval process going forward.
Okay. All right. Don?
We issued a letter a couple hours ago on this one. We got the lighting plan, I think, on Monday. Engineering prior week, so there's still some stuff for lighting to be done. Engineering-wise, I think it's close. Biggest outstanding comments, especially on the plat, would be the west utility drainage easement, just because we're not 100% sure where that 24-inch pipe is. Public Works is going to televise it, they just haven't gotten around to it yet. It's pretty important to be able to set that, because that drains all of 133rd Lakeshore Drive area, except nobody knows where the outfall is, which is interesting. So that's the biggest thing. Regarding the plat, I would say the next biggest thing would be getting the easement documentation together for the off-site stormwater detention facility, kind of outside of the plat. But outside of those details, if we're only doing preliminary plat tonight, it's close.
Okay.
Yeah, so preliminary plat, as I understood, the site lighting really doesn't germane to that conversation, because that's a site plan approval, which we understand is something that needs to be addressed, and I believe we have addressed it, but that's not the petition requested this evening. We're requesting a one-lot subdivision so that we can, so your process requires final plat approval before construction can begin on the lot or the building improvement, and the site improvements that we're requesting are largely building improvements. There's some issues or some debate or discussion about the surface, and there's another request regarding that matter, but that is that's all site plan items. And so related to the preliminary plat, whether this user or another user would do anything on this property, a one-lot subdivision would be required. And so we're requesting that a primary plat be approved tonight so that we can then complete the engineering review on the site plan for the August petition. Ideally, we get site plan approval at August and then also have the final plan in order, which would then allow the petitioner to begin construction basically right around Labor Day.
Mr. President, if I may?
Yeah.
So, pardon me because we've received this late, so I've not had a chance to review. But Don, regarding your letter, which appears to be 4 pages, there's quite a bit on here.
Yeah.
What is relevant to number 1 on here?
Not for the plat itself, I mean, if we're gonna move all engineering to site plan, not much. Like I said, the biggest unknown is that west kind of, utility drainage easement.
That's a pretty big deal, correct?
Which isn't necessarily the applicant's issue right now. We need Public Works that they would televise it. They haven't gotten to it yet. So
Okay,
it's not their fault.
So now we're talking about a timeline. Jack said you want to be back here in a month.
Yeah.
Or,
I mean,
is
we
Public
will
Works
need
gonna
that.
have this done?
I don't know.
In a month?
We will need that for the final plat for sure. How
Yeah,
much is it
we-
gonna
we
change between
understand
now
that
and then? I don't know.
And if that means that our petitioner needs to do, or do anything, then that's up for that discussion.
But it's not the petitioner that needs to get this done for the petitioner. Public
Well,
Works needs
yeah,
to get
but
it done for the petitioner.
But there's ways that can be handled other than Public Works getting that work done.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
if
all
Public Works
ears.
can't-
I mean, if Public Works can't get it done and they want to meet a timeline, they could hire a televising service to have that done. That's not, I'm not suggesting that's what's going to happen, but I'm saying that those issues are separated from a primary plat, because a primary plat is a process that we are requesting that we take a parcel of land and we divide it into one lot, so that next month or following months, we can come in and record a one-lot subdivision on that, so then we can then prepare a site plan. Many times, site plans are tied to a one-lot subdivision, but really it's immaterial, because whatever happens on that property, this process needs to happen. We have to have a one-lot subdivision, and so that needs, I would be requesting that we move forward with a preliminary plat on a one-lot subdivision, and then next month, we address all the items that need to be addressed on the site plan, because there's concerns and they need to be addressed. It's not deferring that, but that's typically, if this had already been recorded, we would be in front of you for a site plan approval. So like the business park that we just did, those lots will be recorded lots. They won't, the buyer of those lots won't have to go through this process. But we have a vacant, or we have a piece of ground that is not recorded, and your ordinance requires, before they can do anything, you have to have a one-lot subdivision, and it has to be recorded before you can even pull a building permit. So what we're asking is, this is a step, this is a public hearing process along that way, but we can't get a recorded plat from you until you approve a final plat.
Don, what else is relevant right now?
I mean, that's the only thing that is in our preliminary plat section. Everything else is more site plan related, in my opinion.
Thank you.
So the easement and
Just the easement. Even the offsite easement is dependent on their site plan. It is for their detention basin. So,
right.
Don, could you explain on page 3 about this partially addressed about the silt fence? What's that all about?
that's just, we require them to put in a sediment trap, since this is all being sheet flowed south into their detention basin for site plan. It's just hard to manage that amount of water at one singular location, so versus just being silt fence, it's a trap, essentially a temporary settling basin in a way.
To catch it?
to catch it before it gets in the basin and fills it up.
Yeah.
Because they have a modified kind of aggregate type basin and you don't really want to pump that much sediment into it, you can't really get it out, so.
And that makes sense from a site plan perspective, that
Yeah.
we would, need to address all of the erosion control concerns that you would have. I'm sure there's seeding and, blanketing and those kinds of things also as part of that plan, so.
Yeah, and that's the only comment we have on that, minus the concrete washout facility.
Mr. Austin,
Well,
are they, where are the boomerangs with this?
I just enjoyed very much. I felt like I was back in real property class again. Thank you, Jack. Charles Stradiville, he was my prop. It kind of feels like we did a loop-de-loop around this room. If these comments and Don's review are not relevant to a primary subdivision plat, why the heck do we have them in front of us? I don't know the answer to that, but I suspect it's because that's what's being reviewed for primary plat purposes. I'm going to assume that, or wonder why we're talking about it, number one. Number two, site plan and subdivision approval typically go hand in hand. I just heard that we had a separation of those legal things. They are legal things.
They are.
Very much so. But they've always been married here. They've always been together, and we get this type of comment on 100 acres for Lennar, or 2 acres here for the Porters. They've always been married to this point or heretofore. So that's kind of conceptual concern. The storm drainage, or the storm water flow, I received from Jill in the last week, or thereabouts. No, sorry, Monday, end of the day. Copy of a proposed grant of easement, and there were questions raised there that I did not see match up against.
It's incomplete.
I'm sorry?
That's incomplete, for sure.
I'm glad to hear that, Don.
And I agree.
So there are legals needed, there is probably site plan improvement or engineering needed related to that. And I don't think it takes a genius to figure out that storm drainage here, given the lay of the land and where it's at, flow and all of that, has high dependency on accurate stormwater engineering, much less the grant of easements and the location of the deposited stormwater itself. So, so from conceptual to specific, that's what I kind of heard here. And Don, I guess we'll have to have a discussion sometime about the marriage of.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna marry site plan and preliminary, it's not ready, because that easement's important to their land plan working. That's not signed, you don't have a stormwater detention basin and they're no longer compliant. That's an issue.
All of that being said, at this point, do you feel, from a legal perspective, that we would be better off deferring this?
I think your site plan ought to be done or nearly done on the unlocked subdivision plan.
I'll make a motion, Mr. President, if I may.
You got a public hearing. You're gonna need to open the floor.
Okay. All right, have a seat real quick, and I'll ask for any remarks. Regarding Cedar Lake Storage LLC, vicinity 9011 to 9019 West 133rd Avenue, is there any remonstrance regarding this item? Or against, anyone? Okay. Remonstrance is closed. Step back up, please.
Sure. And so I would like a.
I have a question.
Sure.
Says on here that the pond to the south is owned by Martha Hernandez. Has that been bought yet for Martha Hernandez?
That's the easement we're talking about.
I believe that is still in negotiations.
Okay, so we're talking about the utility easement on the west side and the pond.
The pond is not part of the one lot subdivision. That is private property.
It's off-site.
Okay. Go ahead, Jack.
So, I think for this petition, but also for other petitions just in general, so I'm actually asking for direction on this matter. So, if a person was to buy a piece of vacant property in the town of Cedar Lake, in order to get that made into a one-lot commercial subdivision, they would have to bring in a site plan. They could not buy a vacant piece of property, make a one-lot subdivision, and then sell that to someone else.
Should be able to,
Should be able to.
I think.
That's what we're asking to do here, is we're asking to take a vacant piece of property or a piece of property that is being unused and to go through the process of a one-lot subdivision so that if the petitioner decided that the site plan that he has proposed is not feasible and would like to sell the property to someone else, he should have the right to create a one-lot subdivision and be able to sell that one-lot subdivision, then that lot, to somebody else who could bring in a site plan similar to the petition following us, where there's a recorded lot already, and they're just bringing you a site plan for approval. And so that's the process that's the request is a preliminary one-lot subdivision. It doesn't say anything about a site plan on this petition. So the petition is for a one-lot subdivision. And I understand that typically, but there should be a process, and I think this is, that where a landowner can take a unrecorded business parcel and create a one-lot subdivision and therefore add value to that parcel, because now there's not a 2-month hassle with the town to create a legal lot of record, that they can come in and now they have, all they have to do is do a site plan and get going. So that's what we're asking to do.
Yeah, I think your hypothetical is fine. We have to weigh out the importance of.
But you're using the site plan for leverage. You're withholding a preliminary plat approval.
No, we're not. No, we're not.
But Mr. President, Mr. Austin, wouldn't this be exactly like Mrs. Hardig's ask, other than it's commercial?
I don't know.
They're asking to make a
Well, I know
subdivision.
that, but I don't know the details of each lot as compared to each other.
Right.
And we don't have the same position before us.
I'm with you on that, okay.
No.
But I often think, with us as a town that's an old new town, we do need to make it easier for people to do one-lot subdivisions, regardless of what they think they might want to do. It all might fade away if they run out of money,
John, we're blowing this up into something it isn't.
okay?
Well, but it has practical ramifications for this site, because the end of let's just talk realistically here. If we can't start improvements until the recording of the final plat, which is what your ordinance requires, and we're deferred from this month until next month, that means we can't do anything on that site until the middle of September, to the end of September, which means by the time those improvements are completed, it's the middle to the end of October. Basically, you've just said he can't open this year.
Yeah, continue.
Thank you. This law is really pretty simple, John.
Mhm.
This law is law of subdivisions, and subdivisions have 2 components to them in Indiana: primary plat or preliminary plat, euphemism, and final plat or secondary plat. And if this petitioner or any petitioner standing here in front of us on a subdivision application, it doesn't matter if it's 1 lot or 22,000 lots, doesn't matter, and they meet requirements of our ordinance, our subdivision control ordinance, primary plat, then you have to approve them. Ministerial. they get past those places, that's why we have our engineer look, and we don't leave it to staff, we don't leave it to us lay people, we don't leave it to chance. That if they have met the requirements of our subdivision control ordinance, then we'll walk through the park. It's an approval.
So every residential and or commercial or what have you, taking a meets and bounds parcel, turning into a one-lot subdivision, adheres to that subdivision control ordinance?
Yeah, it's definitely a.
And if a person doesn't say, I guess where my hangup is if a person doesn't tell you what the plans are, but they just want to make a one-lot subdivision, does that change the rules?
It can, well, it can,
Right.
because
That's
every piece of real estate's unique, and it's adjacent to another piece, and it's another piece, and it's impacting something down the street, and it's connected to something. That's why I give you the depends about the example with Mrs. Harding.
Sure.
And I agree with you, obviously 100% on that, and because our job is to read the ordinance and to know what your ordinances say about those processes.
And I don't see tonight on Don's letter that is happening.
And that's where I would ask Don, did he review this as a one-lot subdivision, or did he review this as a site plan? And if he says he reviewed this as a site plan, then he can't really answer as to whether or not, I mean.
Looks like he did it to both, doesn't he?
Well, I think
he's
he's broken down his review into two sections, and he has preliminary plat, probably as a review, and then he has site plan, which is lengthy review. Yes. And so we're saying that as it relates to Don's letter, that what you should be looking at is that probably 2 sentences of review.
Well, he even said he's okay with the one item of drainage on the west property line being found.
Yeah, that's what it says under preliminary plat. 1's addressed, 2's addressed, 3's addressed, 4 partially, 5, 6, and 7 are addressed. Is that it, Don? Am I looking at that right, or?
2 relates to it as well, under 50, that's the.
But that's partially addressed up to the other one, okay.
Yeah, and really 4 under preliminary plat really relates to more site plan anyway. That's the off-site drainage easement for the detention basin. So the only one that really pertains to the plat only specifically would be the western 15-foot drainage utilities.
So for tonight, you could have signed it right after 7. Signed your letter right after 7?
Yeah, for the most part.
Well, just for clarification, this has been going on a long time. Nobody's trying to slow you down. Seems like that. And now you have a new deadline that I'm hoping works out. Do you have time to look this over?
I look at whatever sent me.
Okay.
So the answer is yes.
Okay. All right. I have no more questions. Anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Heather would like to make a motion.
Following the advice of our legal representative, I feel that I will make a motion to defer this.
We have a motion by Heather to defer this preliminary plat for a one-lot subdivision. Do we have a second?
On the question here, if they meet all the criteria, like Mr. Sharp said, to sign the letter after number 7, then I don't feel that we should have to defer this and drag this out anymore. I mean, Don's saying it's good, after number 7, it's good for what you're here for tonight. So I don't see why we should defer it. I mean.
We have a motion.
Yeah, we have a motion.
We have a motion.
But I can always ask on a question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
I tend to agree with you, John.
I tend to agree with you, John.
Right.
I think so too.
Do we have All right, we have a motion by Heather for a deferral, based on legal advice, perhaps based on, a few other things. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Chuck for a deferral. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
No.
Mr. Foreman?
No.
Mr. Sharp?
No.
Ms. Dessauer?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Kapura?
No.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes. Motion carries.
Motion doesn't.
Was not.
I'm sorry.
No, motion fails.
Motion fails.
4-3.
Sorry.
I would like to
Okay.
make a motion, based on the engineer's recommendations of points 1 through 7, to make Cedar Lake Storage LLC preliminary plat, one lot subdivision approval. And again, it's preliminary plat
I would add existing condition comment number 2.
with Mr. Oliphant's comment about existing condition comment number 2. I would add that to my motion.
The motion by John Foreman with the addition of item number 2. Chuck, you have a question?
We didn't get John's letter, so,
Well, I understand. I understand that that's problems.
I mean, that's the main problem. We just got this letter today.
This evening.
I mean, this is why we need time to look at this stuff. I mean, he didn't have time, he just got prepared just right before the meeting, so must be a need to look at it. To be able to read the whole thing, it's just, all of a sudden, come to the meeting and here it is, the letter.
Yeah, I just read it literally in this meeting earlier.
Yeah.
Read everything through it, that's, so
And then, I'm sure legal just got it tonight.
I got it at 12:30 today.
Get a chance to read it, Bob?
Yes.
Good.
I didn't.
Ray got it at 4:58.
That's what went out.
4:58.
Yeah. How did Bob get his early, Don?
I don't know.
Okay.
Jill.
All right. Oh, you were over here. You were over here, were you?
Your office called me and
Okay, I
you
didn't
turned
have
it
it.
around.
I had a call before 5 and asked for it.
Beacon East at 12. It's not about 5.
Do we have a motion?
There's a motion in a second.
Do we have a second?
Not yet. Oh, I'm sorry, still, I'm screwing around here. Do we have a second regarding Mr. Foreman's motion, including item number 2?
I'll second it.
We have a second by Mr. Kapura. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Dessauer?
No.
Mr. Becker?
No.
Mr. Kapura?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
No. Okay.
Motion carries.
Oh, now the motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Okay. I guess the site plan will be of great detail. Don.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The preliminary is all we approved.
Mr. President,
The
Yes, sir.
review comments that you have
excuse
in
me, Jack,
Hang on.
could we have an update topic added to the next meeting agenda for subdivision control ordinance? Get it out so we can look at it.
We should.
That would be great.
We're sitting here, we're relying on documentation.
Our memories?
I don't know. I'm thinking you would be as concerned as we are, Don.
It needs to be vetted. We've had this discussion before.
Well,
Now we're in real life.
there's always been
We're live fire now.
there's always been those things that are substantive.
But again, preliminary plat is just that, it's preliminary.
No.
And then you have final plat, and you have site plan.
No.
Under the statute, preliminary doesn't mean preliminary, it means the substantive deal. The next time they come in here, all they have to do is put the plat with signature blocks on it, and you have to sign it.
And I guess
That's
what I'm
fine.
that doesn't-
Hang on.
That's what the statute is so weird about, but
Mhm.
we've done that here forever.
Right,
And
but that
again, we-
doesn't, I would say from the, and I understand the concerns here, and I want to be respectful to you guys also. The site plan has not been approved. And if there's any concerns that need to be addressed in the site plan, and you want to defer or take action next month regarding that, you should. And, you know, they're under an obligation, if they want to do a site plan on this property, they have to meet your ordinances regarding site plans. And they need to do that. And Don's review letter points out a number of things that are not consistent with the ordinance, so that those need to be addressed. But they could also sell this property to somebody else who would have some other different idea to do on this property, and they would bring in a site plan different. And they would have to go through all that process again, but now they have a legal lot of record on which to do that. That's all we did, or we haven't finished it because we have to complete that process, but all that we asked for was to say that these 4 lines now represent a lot as opposed to meets and bounds.
And I would expect when it comes in next month, that the items in Don's letter are all addressed.
That is very reasonable.
Because we have a divided panel up here.
Yep.
And we hammered this out for the owner tonight.
Yep.
And so I think, out of respect to us, he should have everything that in Don's letter addressed. Otherwise,
I agree with that.
Otherwise,
that
it will
statement 100%.
definitely fail next month.
And again, Mr. Austin, with due respect, I agree that we need to talk about the preliminary subdivision control ordinance. But I think if we have this subdivision control ordinance, we are trying to wrap up our new ordinances. We need to make it cleaner and clearer for a person to buy either A, a derelict property, B, a empty property, and go from a one-lot subdivision, or go into becoming a one-lot subdivision much easier than a 3-4 month process. It just seems awful advantageous to us as a community that we should make our ordinances help us create one-lot subdivisions where we know the corners of the properties, right?
Truth of the matter is, when you ultimately do your subdivision control ordinance update, you'll probably make it harder, just by modernization.
Because I feel...
Current subdivision control ordinance, John, actually works pretty simply. It's not a brain surgery instrument or a set of laws. It actually is intended to take care of these things, but there are basics within them. He starts with that checklist. I'm certain it sits on his desk when he pulls the plat out, and he has a checklist off of our ordinance. It's that simple. And if they meet it, great. And he writes the report that says check off. And if they don't, he doesn't. It's really that simple. It takes, actually don't need engineers like Jack to present it even.
Right. And I would agree 100% with that statement.
That simple.
The subdivision control ordinance as it reads is very basic, and is very, not basic,
It's intended to be, actually it is, and it's intended to be that.
Yeah.
But it's always the case by
And I would say our
Of
petition,
course.
I would say our petition, and that's why I pushed hard on this, is that I believe that our petition, as it stands on the one-lot subdivision, as it relates to your subdivision control ordinance, meets that.
Well, you got your approval, Jack.
I appreciate that, and I just want to make sure that, you know, I know it was divided, which is very typical, and I appreciate that, but.
And I would like to correct what I said at 12:30. I checked my phone again. It was 4:58 when I got it, and I printed it right
I
away.
got the same time.
Then with that said, they'll be back when with the site plan?
I'll be back at your work session next month,
Okay.
August 4th.
August 4th.
Correct. Yeah, so you'll have the final plat for review, and then you'll have the site plan.
Okay. We have a bit of a standard we try to stick with, little, heads up, not that 2 hours before the meeting thing. So please get the stuff in as quick as you can. I know we have an overachiever over here. who,
No, not really. I didn't think Evelyn would. I just read it right here tonight. It wasn't complicated.
Yeah, well, there's a whole pile of things, there's a whole pile of things here that are complicated.
Let's not beat anybody up anymore. So we won't beat anybody up.
Thanks, Jack. Really though, get that stuff here as quick as you can.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, that's over with. Okay. Item 6, very simple piece of property. Owner petitioner People's Bank, 10205 133rd Avenue, Cedar Lake, Indiana, 46303, vicinity 102-10205 133rd Avenue, Cedar Lake. Petitioner is requesting a site plan. Welcome.
Good evening, Jeff Jensen with Larson Danielson, representing People's Bank, requesting approval on the site plan.
Okay. Don, what are we, what, are we missing anything here?
We issued a letter yesterday, and the reason that it's late is my fault. So when I issued my original letter on the 20th of June, late on Sunday night, I actually didn't send it to the petitioners and the applicant. I don't know why. Nobody didn't catch it until we figured out it didn't go out. So I've kind of put them behind, but they've turned everything around pretty quickly. We recommend approval with some contingencies. They still have to get some lighting information to us, but with how much light's actually going to be out there, I don't really have an issue with it. They also are going to be before the BZA for parking in the front yard setback. That's another kind of hanger. And then they will also have to do a performance letter of credit for improvements within the public right-of-way of 133rd and King Street for their two entrances. And those values would be $30,050.10, and the inspection fee that carries with that is $819.63.
Okay, is everyone familiar with this piece of property? Mr. O'Reilly, People's Bank? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Building Department?
An oversight on our part in reviewing this, and when we transitioned everything on the parking in the front yard, otherwise they would have been in front of the BZA sooner, but they will be in front of your BZA next month for that,
Parking in the
item,
front
for
yard?
the parking in the front yards of a corner lot. So basically the front yard and what I would think is a side yard, but the front yard of a corner lot.
So that matches up well for all the other businesses on that street. They all have it right up against their front yard setback.
Okay, so what's
With Don's
missed?
letter and contingent upon BZA approval.
Okay. So Don, what's missing is the photometric plan.
Photometrics, we have a site plan, we just don't have photometrics yet, it just hasn't come in yet. They said it'd be done early next week. I'm not worried about it. The fixtures, we've already seen the catalog cuts, we just have to kind of just verify spread and all that, but they've been pretty responsive with everything ever since we kind of notified that initial screw up.
Can you send me the cut sheets, please?
I will.
Thank you. You understand the lighting thing's gotta be done, right?
Yeah. We should have that early next week, like that.
Okay. Any commissioners have any discussion on this item?
Mr. Chairman, I want to add Don's opinion of this ingress and egress onto 133rd. In our work session, I mentioned that, maybe coming in off of 133rd is okay, but I think having people exit right there where there's a stoplight, if we have a side street, what's your opinion on that? Is there something there?
I think that would be
just me
I think that would be
overthinking?
tough. So, I mean, there's two lanes going right, and there's going to be a right turn. I don't know if it's going to be striped as through as well, because that's essentially an extended right turn for the entire extent of 133rd to get into the businesses.
So there's a turning lane running all the way down.
There's a turning lane
already.
all the way down.
So theoretically, John, they wouldn't be sitting at the light.
Yeah, I mean, they could turn, they'll have two lanes
But
traffic
it
turn
just
into.
creates more of somebody's pulling out,
I mean,
traffic's backed up to the west, I just feel like,
Wasn't it set
go to
up-
the light and turn left. and/or right.
Wasn't it said the flow of traffic though, that was only gonna be for people that were parked to go in the bank, and the drive-through was gonna be aimed to go out the other?
That's the way it is.
It
They would have
is.
to circle all the way
How
around.
many people visit a bank during the day?
Yeah, that's logical. I agree with that comment.
I think it's fine.
Yeah, I mean.
That was my only thought about this,
Well,
the roadway.
I was overthinking.
Especially with
people
the
using
kids
it for-
walking across
People
the
use it
street.
for a shortcut to get to the neighborhood.
Oh, yeah, you did bring that up, but that would defeat the purpose, that would almost then say you can't have a
Yeah.
entrance
Right,
coming
yeah.
from the west.
Yeah.
So how wide is this piece of property? How far is that from the corner?
The width is 135 feet.
Okay, all right, so it's way in the west end.
It's way in the, I mean, it's as far west as they can go.
Yeah.
So, there's not much you can do about it. And, I mean, the circular nature of, you know, their kind of geometric setup right now is most people are gonna go off King Street and hit the light. So, I would think the few people that do go north, they may get stopped by one light cycle because they can't get out, but I don't see that as an issue.
Well.
That'd be on the, that'd be in the
seems very
hedges
similar-
traffic there.
Seems very similar to the tech
Yes,
building.
very similar.
But we have
Layout.
one lane here.
Yeah, this is almost safer than the
You're-
tech.
The
But
right,
it's just,
the right
that
in, right out
road's
is
so
very
busy.
similar to Walgreens on 41. Because Walgreens has the turn lane in front of it on 41.
It does.
Yeah.
Even the tech building has the right turn, I think, as well, or no, it switches to a suicide lane there, but it's still through a three-way pavement section.
You know, I know there's not a lot of, you know, in hindsight, you know, all the development that's taken place on 133rd, we as a commission 5 years ago, should we have said, hey, Mr. Joe Blow, you're developing, we'd like a little bit more land to someday make it a wider road, because that road's filling up. It's a main thoroughfare in our town, but, you know, that's
Well,
a side note.
Anticipating what the school's doing or not doing is,
Yeah.
like rolling the dice.
Yeah.
John, we did that. On west of the
Yeah.
high school, we created more room, we had greater sections.
Yeah, west of the high school, we did.
Purpose
That's a good point.
I just wonder the day, you know, you look at the 231 though, and the development happening, I mean, and it's allowed, because it's a state highway, and it just creates hazardous.
I mean, the Airport Heights subdivision actually has a 50-foot right-of-way. It's more than anything else in that corridor.
Sure.
So whether or not that's how that was platted and that was the intention, I don't know. But that's been platted for a number of years. So.
Okay. All right, do you have any more questions about anything?
I think we're good on our end.
You understand the lighting?
Yes.
Yep.
We're working on it.
Okay. And, Don, you said you'd send that to me?
Yep.
Mr. Austin, any comments? Anything else? No? No?
No comments.
Any other commissioners? Any thoughts, comments? Everybody's good? Okay.
No.
All right. I guess then, I would be soliciting a motion for this item. We need to include the letter of credit stuff you were talking about, Don?
Letter of credit, you can reference the entire letter as a
Okay.
contingency if you'd like.
All right. Reference, motion to include reference to Don's July 20th, 2021 letter. And the BZA meeting. And BZA, approval. Anyone? Margaret? No.
It wouldn't count.
I'll make a motion to approve the site plan in reference to Don's letter and approval from the BZA.
Mr. Austin, does that suffice?
That's a no.
Okay.
I'll second.
Date of the letter is the 20th.
July 20th,
July
yeah,
20th.
yeah. I got it at 4:52. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
It's hard to tell.
252? 254?
Right down to the.
Well, you got it early, huh?
I did get it early. You over here with Bob, weren't you? Yeah. Okay, we have a motion by, Mr. Sharp, we have a second by Heather, for the, approve the site plan, item number 6, People's Bank. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Dethauer?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Pecora?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes, motion carries.
And I will make a comment, and I won't mention the business name, but with Chase Bank closing on the 22nd, one of the business told me that they're taking their money out of Chase and putting it into People's Bank.
Wow. I'm
That's
glad to hear that.
nice of you to do that about the money.
You gotta deposit in transit.
You are the business
in town.
Is that why you have 2 Ford Flex? Thanks, Jack, good luck. Thank you, appreciate it. Good luck.
I believe my chair.
Have a good one.
Yeah, they look like average cars. Okay. Oh, where'd the other jack go?
Can't have enough jacks.
Surely. Okay, item number 7, Summer Winds, Unit 3, performance letter of credit that expires August 15th, 2021. This is for performance letter of credit extensions and to establish a full date for performance letter of credit. We have petitioner here.
Yeah, Jack Halls from DBG representing the owner, Summer Winds. So we have 3 units in this subdivision. Letters of credit for units 2 and 3 are full, or the expiration dates are sometime early December, I believe, something like that. I think it's the 2nd and the 3rd.
December.
This one is August 15th, so what we are requesting, actually what we intend to do, the bank is already working on this, is doing a 6-month extension on this Unit 1 letter of credit, which will line up all of the units together for expiration or very close. The developer is working diligently this summer to complete all of the improvements on all of the units. And then in November, we would come in with a request to convert all 3 performance letters of credit into a single maintenance letter of credit, thereby reducing a lot of the administrative hassles with the letters of credit.
Okay, so.
Much rejoicing as a positive.
So we're all clear, this is the letter of credit that expires August 15th?
Yeah, so.
And you're looking for a 6-month extension?
Yeah, you can do the extension for whatever you feel is reasonable.
I thought
It
you
can either be a
said
6 months or a
6 months.
year, whatever.
Did you say 6 months?
That's what's, the
6 months,
bank, I
okay.
believe the bank, actually
And you're-
People's,
In your packet is a letter from Dustin Gorlick, the Vice President, Business Banker. Their intent is, and they would like to do a 6-month extension. They'll be getting us a draft to review, and we would have the letter by August 2nd, which is well ahead of the expiration date. I would recommend setting a pull date of August, to start the process August 9th if we don't receive that letter
Okay.
of credit extension.
All right, so the motion would have to include the August 9th full date. It would. Okay. This is for a 6-month extension for Summer Winds Unit 1. It's expiring August 15th. I guess, anybody else have any questions?
No, sir.
Anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to extend the performance letter of credit for 6 months past August 15th, 2021, with the stipulation if we do not receive what we need by August 9th, we'll begin to pull.
I second that.
Motion by Heather, second by Mr. Carnahan.
Is this the maintenance or performance bond?
Performance
Performance.
letter of credit.
I think, wasn't it said maintenance in the motion?
No, I think I said performance.
All right.
I'll make
I think you just
One
said
more
letter
time.
of credit.
I mean, it's just, I mean, it's omitted.
Amend your
Just
motion.
that letter of credit, if that's okay.
Amend your motion.
I'd like to clarify performance letter of credit that expires on August 15th, 2021, 6 months past that.
I concur.
Amended motion from Heather, second by Bob. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carnahan?
Yes.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
Mr. Sharp?
Yes.
Ms. Dessauer?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Pecora?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkening?
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
All right.
I'll stick
Thanks for
around.
staying around.
Yeah, I'll stick around, see if there's anything in the update items that I need that.
Okay.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Just saying.
That's,
I think we're
Okay.
done with you for the day.
Okay, update items, resolution, number 2021-2, Planning Commission Rules and Regulations.
That ties in with your,
Ordinance
zoning
modifications.
ordinance amendment, so we'll
Okay.
leave that on there as an update
And
item.
that's 2 weeks, 6 PM?
Yes.
Start again, okay. Centennial Phase 15 Performance Letter of Credit expires, September 5th, 2021. We're keeping an eye on that.
Keeping an eye on that, that'll be on your August work session and
Okay.
August public meeting.
Our inspection letter went out for that last week. I talked to Jeff Yatsko about it this morning. He didn't clearly read it. Because this is the one where we recommended to mill the surface off. He didn't read it, so when we talked about it today, he was a little surprised.
Well, I'm glad you sent that so early,
Hmm?
so he's got time to think about it.
Yeah. He knows everything else, he just failed to read that paragraph.
Oh, you didn't read the whole, you didn't read it all.
That's an extensive paragraph. That's a big one.
He was a little surprised when I told him about it, so I was very surprised he didn't come at me a little bit more than
This is Jeff Yatsko?
Yeah. So,
Okay. Item number 3, the fee in lieu of sidewalk. Rick had put something together that was, could be created expeditiously. Is that
Yes.
moving forward?
That had been provided to David Oshgen and reported at your last work session that that had been provided to him.
Okay.
It was anticipated to have that in front of you for your August work session with the potential for an August public hearing if the document's ready.
Okay.
I'm redrafting it. You'll have it for discussion August 2nd.
August 2nd?
Is that a realistic timeline for us to vote on that then in August and put it in effect?
I will advertise the public hearing for your meeting, your second meeting of the month.
Okay.
Super.
Okay, that'd be great.
On the 18th, I think.
Okay,
Yeah,
So you'll have it to look at and then public hearing.
perfect, thank you.
okay.
Is there a way when you have that, we do that, we can vote on it before we vote on anything else? In case anything else comes up?
No. You will hold the public hearing to consider the amendment to the text of your ordinance. You will certify a recommendation then to the town council. The town council will adopt an ordinance, or not, but.
September is early.
September sometime.
So it becomes effective the night the
Town council.
town council.
Yes.
The earliest would be the first meeting in September.
I'm sorry?
The earliest that could be in effect would be the first meeting in September.
Maybe.
Did Rick write it in such a way that if a homeowner wants to put the sidewalk in to nowhere, he or she may?
Don't know.
That would be something I think we should allow to happen. So if their little Susie or little Billy wants to play
I don't think.
hopscotch on their own sidewalk that goes nowhere, they can.
Your subdivision your subdivision
No,
already
this
requires that.
No, this,
If he doesn't ask for a waiver,
Yeah.
then he can go ahead and
I can put it in.
Then they have to.
Then he'd have to, but if he asks for a waiver, then this ordinance would come into play, go into effect, right?
Well,
Correct?
it will.
Yeah.
okay. Item number 4, Cedar Lake Ministries PUB amendment preliminary plat. As you guys know, there was a powwow here a few weeks ago regarding this. I believe your Mr. Terpstra has been out of town. Has he contacted you yet regarding?
No, I sat next to his partner all day, and she said he is back from 2 weeks somewhere, and I haven't heard from him. I told her that all points forward and out for time.
Okay.
So nothing's happened with it since last meeting?
Not a thing.
All right. Jill?
No, it was noted at your last meeting that he was out of town, and we were anticipating this coming back before you for your August 4th work session in anticipation of the public hearing on the primary plat for Unit 2.
You mean Lot 2?
Unit 2, Lot 2, whatever you were
Well-
referring to it as.
Kind of makes a difference given tonight's.
The RV park lot is the one that has the plating being done to it. The other one, the rest is a rezone, PUD amendment. But it was anticipated to have that public hearing in August.
Okay, well, I asked it.
As soon as we get
It's
something.
more ready.
Mhm.
participating is good.
That was what we discussed at the last work session.
There has been work on it that you haven't seen yet, but there will be, Mr. Terpster will be getting back with Dave regarding that, and me and Don have already talked on this as well. There's that.
Okay.
And
All right.
There's one more item to add to your update item. David, if you could report on the, TIF.
The redevelopment commission has initiated a initiative to expand our TIF district to include the newly annexed 28-acre parcel on Route 41 by Baltimore and Hen, as well as to connect the consolidated 133rd Avenue Economic Development Area to the SBT LLC Economic Development Area. That's the Strax parcel that is now, because the obligation's paid off, is an island of a TIF district, economic development, so we're going to combine them. Need a public meeting with Town Council, Redevelopment Commission, and Plan Commission, and we request your consideration of doing so on the night of August 17th. And
You upstairs at the lighthouse?
I'm sorry?
Right here in this little room.
No, John is.
We're all gonna fit.
John is. He got a new motorcycle.
That's right.
What time will that be?
7 o'clock. Not about that. Not about that. The public meeting will be a joint public meeting of the three bodies, and then declaratory resolutions. There will be a public hearing in early September for the redevelopment, or 20th. Actually, the 20th of September, scheduled for the redevelopment commission to act.
Okay, so this group meeting is when? August 4th?
17th at 7 p.m.
Oh, 17th.
17th,
Okay, all right.
okay.
I'm reading and talking at the same time. Okay. Is everybody, any questions? Mr. Carnahan, everything good?
Yep.
All right. Margaret, all good? Okay. Anybody else have anything? Okay. Any public comment? No public? Okay. All right, we'll call this meeting over.
Very good.
Thank you.